Welcome back. It's been a long time since I've been in front of this microphone, but it's officially another episode of the I'm Not a Hater podcast featuring your favorite non-hater, Mr. Brown. Um, it's been a while since I actually recorded an episode, so this is a fresh new one. With a couple topics just for your mind, just for your mindset to think about while maybe listening to it, walking, talking, sitting at your desk, whatever, however you listen to it, whatever may have you. I just want to say, to all the listeners who've been paying attention, I just want to say thank you once again. Like I always do, I appreciate your listens, your criticisms, your opinions, everything that you have possibly given me over this time since I started doing this podcast a few months ago. Definitely appreciate it. Definitely want to say, it's definitely appreciated. Like, thank you from the bottom of my heart. You don't have to listen, but you do, and I appreciate that. So to start, y'all happy with President Trump? Is he doing it for you, or is this kind of the disaster you thought it would be? He's definitely, in my opinion, not running the country. It's definitely ran by Elon Musk. You can see that with the way that Elon's son spoke to him in the Oval Office. He kind of let him know, like, hey, you're not the president. And where did he hear that from? He heard that at home at the dinner table or riding in the Tesla. He's definitely, heard some things he probably shouldn't hear at a young age. And it begs the question, like, I know it's probably obvious, right? Did Trump go too far to be the president? Like, did he get himself into something that he can't really get out of? And it makes you wonder, with the way that Elon is moving and the way that he's doing things and getting access to everything that a civilian person, right? Because he's still a civilian. He's getting access to everything that civilians like us don't have access. So it begs the question, does like money get you into places where you normally wouldn't have that access? Can you just drop $1 million cash and get the codes to everything that the US has to offer? Something to think about. I mean, me personally, Elon is dangerous. He's probably more dangerous than Trump. He want to buy Mars. He want to do all these exotic, erotic things, and basically nobody's stopping him at this point. Waiting for the Democratic Party to do something. I know they've been talking about him, or they've been trying to stop him, but somebody from the Republican Party also has to kind of step in and be like, yo, enough is enough. Like, this dude is doing way too much when it comes to America. He's like an immigrant himself, so he should pipe down and sit still, truthfully. But like I said, did Donald Trump sacrifice too much to want to be president and giving this man too much access and too much power? But listen, Kamala tried to tell y'all that this was going to go down with Project 2025 and everything else that's happening, and people chose to ignore it. They didn't want a woman in the office. They didn't want a black woman in the office, what may have you. And this is the result of that. So I hope that for those people who voted for him, I hope that it's working for y'all. If not, like I said, VP Harris tried to tell y'all didn't want to listen. Y'all felt like she was just, the wrong fit for the country. And now look, they talking about giving him a third term. Just doing some unprecedented type of things that, aren't really ever heard of before. So, like, pay attention to what's happening in the world if you haven't already, because they're doing a lot of shady, underhanded things. The reason why we have the two-term president is because of Roosevelt. He won like 4 times in a row. He was president for 12 years. He saw the nation through the Great Depression and World War I. I had to say it correctly. And after that, they kind of was like, no president should serve more than 2 consecutive terms. All right, bet. So then you got your Clintons, your Obamas, just for recent history, who have done 2 terms. Trump didn't do 2 terms consecutively, so that's why they piping up with this 3rd term nonsense, because in their rhetoric, he would be you know, the next term would be his consecutive term. So please pay attention to this type of stuff, because they're not even pulling the wool over your eyes anymore. They just really doing it out front of your face, and leaving y'all to deal with what's happening next. Um, and that's my little spiel on that. Pay attention to your midterm elections, kind of like I told you during when it was time to actually vote for the president. Like, pay attention to those Senate races, Congress, your local elections. All that stuff influences what happens in DC. Um, and that's kind of pretty much how you make your change. You can cry to make change in DC, but is it really going to happen unless you do the work in your hometowns and your home states and cities, etc.? So just pay attention to that when you thinking about what's next in the next upcoming years as we move through this Trump administration part 2. All right. So the next topic I'm going to talk about, and it really was the title of this whole podcast episode, but it's borrowers and loaners. And usually this comes when it comes with money. So borrowing money versus loaning money. And when does the person who loaned the money have the right or the opportunity to air you out if you don't pay them back? Now, as a person who has been on both sides of this coin, per se, as a borrower, right? If I borrow the money from you, I'm trying to pay you back as fast as possible, okay? Because I don't want no type of smoke. I don't want you feeling no type of way. I don't want you looking at me funny. I don't want you saying, hey, you owe me this, you owe me that, adding interest. I don't want you seeing me out and I'm spending what may be a small amount of money, and you get in your feelings because you feel like I haven't paid you. So if I borrow even $1 from you, please believe by the next day or the day after, I'm giving you your $1 back. I may even give you $1.25 just to have the interest there. Where people get messed up with borrowing is they borrow, they don't pay back, and then they come back again with a handout to borrow some more. That's where you messed up at. You can't do that as a person borrowing money. You need the money. But if you don't pay me back the first time, why am I going to give you money the second time? And that's just, that's how I think about that. Now, in loaning money, you have to have a soft spot for these people that you don't just give money to everybody. It's got to me, I always have to look at the relationship I have with the person when giving out money. And if I'm going to get my money back in a reasonable time. If I know I'm not going to get my money back, then I'll chalk it up to a loss, right? If I loan, I'll just give you an example of chalking it up. If I loan like my son some money, right, and you say you don't loan, but teaching them about the responsibility of loans and giving back the money. If I loan it and I know I'm not getting it back, I chalk it up as a loss. If I loan another adult that's working and just out here doing randomness, I need my money back on time. So I'm gonna give you, and doing it with all in the bi-weekly time frame, right? Because most people get paid every 2 weeks. So doing it in the time frame where, you can pay me back in the 2 week time span, or a week if you get it faster. Cool. If you don't, I'm less likely to give you money the second time. If you come back with your handout a second time and you ain't paid back the first time, you're very brave as a person. And I think you probably should try your luck with the stock market or something, because you'd be very good at it, taking risks, because you did not pay me back the first time. And I think that's where the biggest issue is, that people take people's kindness for weakness. So they loan you amount of money and maybe they forget about it. You didn't forget about it because you got the money loaned to you by that person. But for some reason, whatever reason that is, you're not paying them back. Whether you're just not doing it, you run into money issues yourself, whatever the case is, right? So you go about it the wrong way, and that's why if you struggle having people loan you things or give you money in this instance, it's probably because you don't pay them back at the right point in time. So you got to think about that as a borrower too. Like, am I good enough? Am I good on paying these people back? As a loaner, is this person going to pay me back on time? And how am I going to deal with it if they don't pay me back on time? Am I going to get angry? Am I going to, you know, take other means to get the money back? Now, that when that comes to how long you could wait to air them out, and when I say air them out, like put them out there on social media, man, it's tricky because right, you don't want to do it too soon, right? Because they may be trying to get the money. But if time has passed, I'll say a significant time has passed, and you still haven't gotten your money, by all means, do what you got to do. Air them people out. Use their full government name. Take a picture, put a picture up. Do not loan this person any money. I seen somebody do this. Who was it? I think it was Vernon Maxwell. He took this dude Vincent Askew, former NBA player. So it's two NBA players. Vernon is saying that Vincent asked him for $10,000. He gave Vincent the $10,000, but now Vincent won't pay him back. So this is another situation. Like Vernon waited. He waited the right amount of time. Vincent still ain't pay up. Now Vernon is on every podcast. You could look it up yourself. I guarantee you. Just type in Vernon Maxwell and Vincent Askew. It'll pop up. Vernon is taking every opportunity to air Vincent out about his $10,000. And he's urging other players not to give Vincent any money either. But he want his 10 G's. And I feel like if it reaches a point where you're giving somebody, thousands, I won't say millions because, I don't know if any millionaires are listening, but if you loaning somebody millions, then you got to know that they're going to get it back to you. But if you loaning somebody thousands and you know that that's part of your money that you now don't have because of them, like you have every right, and this is my opinion, you have every right to air them out. Let people know that these people are not, trustworthy. They're not giving you back your money on time. And, they playing with you. And people don't deserve, if they did something out of the kindness of their heart, as to loan you the money, don't play with people's kindness. Get them back their money as soon as you can. Like, everybody that's borrowing something, like, think about it. Like, if it was you in this situation and you would want your money in a timely fashion, give those people back their money in a timely fashion. And that's pretty much all I'm going to say about that, right? You get the money, give it back as soon as you can. If not, talk to the people, communicate, let them know, hey, I'm having a struggle, I'm having a moment. I can't really get it back to you right now, but as soon as I can, I will. I promise you that. And stand on it. If you don't, you're going to run into more situations where people are going to start closing their doors or not answering your text messages when you come around asking for more money. And if you keep getting yourself into situations where you need money, then there is a thing called a budget, and you need to look into how you can use that effectively and informatively for yourself. Now, probably one of the last things I'm going to talk about, or the last thing I'm going to talk about, is this word called sacrifice, right? And I think about it pretty often. Like, who are you sacrificing for, or what are you sacrificing for? Or is what you're sacrificing for hurting or helping the people around you? Okay. So I'll use an example. And this isn't due to anybody, but I'll use an example of like everybody out here these days, right? They want to live their best life, including people that have kids or don't have kids, right? And along the way, when you start wanting to, do certain things that, are outside of your norm, right? You have to remember, at a certain point, you have to remember that you have somebody to take care of, right? Or you have somebody who's depending on you at a certain point, right? When it comes to the kids. And, it's all well and good in life to have fun, right? Most people probably be like, well, when it comes to me, like I'm one of the probably most unfun people in the world, even though I could laugh and have a good time. I don't go out much. I don't do much in the way of that type of stuff. And, that's just who I am. I'm more family oriented type of person. And, that's just the way I was brought up. But, you get to the point where some of your sacrifices for yourself start to draw back and start to hurt your children, right? And I'm just using them as an example because it's easy to talk about children. I don't got to go too deep. But your kids start to feel some type of way. Or they start to realize like, hey, all they care about is X, Y, and Z. We're not really their primary focus. And then what ends up happening is that as they get older, they start to resist you or start to act differently towards you. And you have to be prepared to deal with that, because at one point you sacrificed whatever relationship that could have been. You sacrificed it for yourself, right? You put yourself first, and that's not a bad thing, but you have to be prepared for what's coming behind you putting yourself first. You're going to lose, you might end up losing them along the way because you decided that you were most important. And not saying that you aren't important as a person, but at some point you got to put your priorities in order, right? Your kids got to come first. You kind of have to put yourself second till they get to a point where they can take care of themselves. And then, circle back around and then kind of, put yourself at the top. But I mean, to me, I feel like with every sacrifice, it's going to be a negative situation. If you put yourself first now, then expect them to do the same when they get to a certain age, right? And we all gonna get older, right? And eventually you may need somebody to take care of you. Who you gonna look to first? Especially in the Black community or people of color, we look to our kids to take care of us first. And if you weren't there for them when they needed you the most because you decided that it was about you, then you can't expect them to then want to take care of you when you get to a certain age. At this point right now, you might want to look into some convalescent homes, some nursing homes, or, hope that a niece or a nephew take you in, because I can guarantee you your kids are watching. They see what you're doing. They see who's going to be the person to, take care of their needs when they need it. And, they'll act accordingly. Unless they have a heart of forgiveness, eventually, if you have more than one kid, it'll come out with one of them. They'll decide and they'll pass you around like a communion plate. They'll just keep passing you back and forth because you weren't there for any of them at the time when they needed it. And again, like I'm saying, it's not wrong to put yourself first. I get it. People in this era, we want to, turn up. We want to do everything, but save some time for your family, your friends. Save some time for them too, because when you need them the most, you're going to see who's going to be there. And it's not always the people that you're running with and you're jumping up with. It's going to be the people that stayed down regardless. When you made these sacrifices, whether right or wrong, they'll be there, right? And those are the people that are most loyal to you, right? And I could talk about loyalty too, because that's a whole nother issue. But yeah, just be careful of what you're sacrificing for at the moment. Everything looks great on, Instagram and Facebook, but is it really worth, having your kids not really want to be around you if you're never there for them? And that's, they can't voice it to you because they don't want to hurt you, but is it worth it? Like, they loyal. Everybody's loyal to somebody. Everybody's loyal to something. They sparing your feelings because they don't want to hurt you as their parent. But at some point, when you reach adult age, then you start having those adult conversations, if you can, with your parent, and it'll come out. And then how you going to react to it? You know what I mean? Like, you could be, my basic thought is that you can be there for your kids too, and you can have your fun. It's all in how you manage it. If you start to realize that you're doing more fun stuff for you, and not necessarily fun stuff for your kids, but just being there for your kids, period, then it's gonna, like I said, it'll eventually come back to bite you. But I don't want to ramble too long because that part wasn't really written down. I just started talking off the top of my head. But with that being said, I just want to thank everybody again for tuning in. I hope that you guys have a great, fantastic week. And I'll get back to you guys when I do. Next time, I'll see you soon. I appreciate everybody's listens. This is the I'm Not a Hater podcast featuring favorite not hater, Mr. Brown. Peace and love.